Hey guys, welcome to today's edition of NDD. And recruiting remains the hot button issue during the offseason, and some major visits are coming up for Notre Dame as we head into yet another massive weekend in that department. On the heels of last week's Irish invasion, again, if you maybe didn't see some of the earlier shows this week or heading into last week, Irish invasion, another success, 100 plus prospective recruits on campus. This weekend that starts with Friday, June 13th, is another one. And I want to start in the tight end department. Evan Jacobson, the kid from Iowa who I've talked a lot about, 6'7", 220, was originally scheduled to travel to South Bend on June 20th, but he's since bumped that up a week. So he'll be here for the weekend of the 13th. Visits to Auburn and Florida State have been canceled, which is major news. So what does that tell us? That right now it appears that Notre Dame and Iowa State are in that top two, if you want to call it that, for Jacobson, which is huge. Notre Dame has coveted Jacobson for quite some time. We know that Marcus Freeman wants to get at least two tight ends out of the class, so having the Irish right there with the Cyclones seemingly as those two finalists is a major deal, especially with Jacobson axing those two programs off his schedule and now coming to South Bend 7 days earlier. Contingency plan, let's just say, if Jacobson doesn't ultimately wind up committing to Notre Dame, you have the two kids from Ohio, Preston Frizzell and Braden Fogel. They've been additional tight end targets throughout this cycle that the Irish are very much involved with and very interested in landing as well. So we'll see how this goes, but I think you feel great about the fact that programs like Auburn, an SEC school, and Florida State, who is looking to rebound off a really lousy campaign and have some more success on the recruiting trail, have been removed from the schedule of one of the top remaining tight ends in the country. And now it seems to be a two-horse race. So I think the Irish looking pretty damn good there for the services of Evan Jacobson. When you look at what Notre Dame's done defensively across the board in the 26 class, really on both sides of the board, it's been phenomenal. And we've talked ad nauseum about how this class remains one of the top 2 or 3 in the country, could even end the cycle with the top overall class, depending on what ranking system you follow. If you're able to go out and get someone like Joey O'Brien, who doesn't just sit as one of the top remaining prospects in the class, he's been one throughout since the cycle began. If you're able to go get a player of this caliber, then you're really talking about, you know what? Notre Dame might very well have the best recruiting class for the year 2026. I mean, this is a kid that comes in 6'3", 190, a 5-star across every single board, potential suitors all across America, but Notre Dame remains right near the top of the list. And news breaks this week that the kid from LaSalle College, PA, is going to announce his decision on June 20th, which is great news for Notre Dame. He'll take his OV the same weekend that Evan Jacobson will be here on the 13th, so that's another layer to this, another positive peeling of that onion. So he'll be out in South Bend. The Gold and Blue get another final crack at this young man, and he's a player that slots perfectly into their defense now and into the future. When you think about some of the great safeties the Irish have had, Kyle Hamilton, Xavier Watts, last couple seasons obviously stand out. It's hard not to envision O'Brien developing into a player of that ilk. Even as young as he is, developing out of high school, one of the star players in this 26 class, you put him in a system like they're going to run in South Bend, great things tend to happen. Elite ball skills this kid has, incredible knowledge of the game. Watch his tape, and off the charts athleticism. When you think of a Notre Dame defense that wants their safeties to be great in over-the-top support and then be able to come down in the box. That's what Notre Dame has had. That's what O'Brien offers. So when you talk about this just complete package and add in his overwhelming athleticism, if Notre Dame is able to land this 5-star this late in a recruiting cycle, what more can we say about the heck of a job that Marcus Freeman and company have done for the 26 class? And you talk about how good that class has been, and for the most part, the last couple of days and weeks, the focus has been in 26 and 2027. But another offer, their 13th in the class, came out for the recruiting cycle in 2028. Illinois rising defensive end star Darian Prescott. The kid's been a hot commodity since he really opened his freshman campaign as a starter on his high school team's defensive line. You don't generally see freshmen start at the highest levels of the high school sport all the time. Now, this is a kid already at his young age coming off a freshman year, 6'6", 220. And he's going to become even more imposing as he grows into his own body. Playing high school in the state of Illinois, it's great to start as a freshman, but it adds more to the fact that this young man is playing on a team that competes in Class 8A in Illinois, which is the highest level of competition the state has to offer when it comes to high school football. So you start to realize when you analyze this and look at the numbers, where he plays, the metrics, how young he is, and the numbers that he's putting up, even after one season as a freshman, you start to realize how rare it is to see something like this with young Darian Prescott. And it's no surprise that a lot of programs across the country, including Notre Dame, are starting to sink their teeth into him for his services a bit ahead of schedule. The offers, without question, are going to continue to come. But Marcus Freeman and company jumping on this early is what you like to see. They identify the talent. They've seen what this young man can do, even as a frosh. And why not put that early offer out there? And to this point in the recruitment, this is interesting because I didn't know it. Prescott has already traveled to Iowa and Michigan State, and there are other offers out there for Notre Dame, who again in the 28 class have so far offered with Prescott now 13 players. And this is a young man who has offers already from the Spartans and Hawkeyes. He's been to their respective universities, as well as Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. So they're starting to take note across the country. This is going to be a fun recruitment to watch because I would be blown away if this kid wasn't eventually labeled as a 5-star talent. So we're really looking forward to tracking this. I mean, the Joey O'Brien scene is big. Evan Jacobson, you know what Notre Dame wants to do there at tight end. But just looking ahead, springboarding into that 28 class, this kid Prescott, get a chance to view him, is really the definition of a rising star. And we had some news break as far as the game time for Notre Dame's September 27th trip to Fayetteville to face Arkansas. It's going to be a noon kick with ABC anchoring the television coverage. That's noon Eastern time kick on Saturday, September 27th. It's the first ever meeting between the two programs in football, so you know it's going to draw a packed house in Fayetteville at Razorback Stadium, as well as monster television numbers. A lot of programs don't like the noon games, and it is a bit odd that Notre Dame's got an SEC team here on the schedule and it's a noon kick. But for my purposes, look, you're going to get to start that college football weekend outside of what Fox does with their big noon kickoff slate. SEC versus Notre Dame at noon is going to hammer away at TV ratings. We know that going in. So while some may not like it, there is sensibility there where, you know, if this was the Texas A&M game, or if this was Notre Dame LSU or Alabama, you'd probably get that ABC, ESPN 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern time start. I think the noon time here is fine. And while the two programs have never played on the gridiron, I do like some of the lineage and the connections between the two programs. The great Lou Holtz, 86 to 96 in South Bend. Prior to that, quick stop at Minnesota, but 77 to 83, he was the coach of the Hogs. And you know Holtz, the 88 season, undefeated, 12-0 national title. Tony Rice running the show. Followed it up with top six finishes throughout his remainder of his tenure in South Bend. While he was in Fayetteville, Holtz was no slouch either, and that's where he really started to get some notoriety. We know all about the negativity, about the sort of crazy season Lou Holtz had in 76 with the New York Jets, but he comes up to Arkansas, 60-21-2 record throughout his 7 seasons there, won the Orange Bowl in 1977, and then followed that up with years of 9-2-1 and the 10-2 mark in 1979. So he won some big games for the Hogs, and then obviously won many, many big games in South Bend with the national title in 88. And I like the connection here. It's going to, leading up to it, and then certainly on game day, make for some fun storylines. I am sure the networks and the media outlets are going to tie that in just like I did here. And it's helping to create what should be an incredibly great atmosphere out there in Arkansas on September 27th. We've got what has been a great atmosphere here through the infancy of this show, Notre Dame Daily. It's been a blast hosting it. Keep the comments coming. Always happy to engage with the fans, subscribers, and followers of the platform. It's been a blast. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Irish.